Hello, I'm Clark Saunders. Along with composer Craig Cassils, I'm half of the songwriting team of Cassils and Saunders. I'm the one who writes the words. Today I'd like to talk about songs about running from God. Some of the songs Craig Cassils and I have written are intended for children. Some might be sung by people of all ages. And some, like the two songs I want to talk about today, are written for adults. Each of these songs, in its own way, describes the experience of people who have tried to run away from God. Those who sing or hear these songs may call to mind the experience of people they love, or they may be moved to reflect on the experience of their own lives. One of the songs we have written on this theme is called Sought and Found. At the top of the score, I acknowledge several works that influenced the writing of the lyrics. Now I have a chance to say a little more about this song that deals with God's pursuit of us and our attempts to flee from God. The first verse is almost a paraphrase of the opening verses of Psalm 139. The psalm, written in the first person, begins in the King James Version, "O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me," and goes on to expand on God's intimate knowledge of the writer. Our song begins by speaking of someone long ago, that would be the psalmist, who found that God knew all about him. But the psalmist runs from God, trying in vain to find a place where God is not. "If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea," he says, or as our song puts it, "Though he took the morning's wings and explored the ocean's edges, he could not escape God's presence." Then the refrain moves from the experience of the psalmist long ago to the experience of the singer today. And here I owe something to the English poet Francis Thompson, who lived from 1859 to 1907. As a young man, Thompson, frail in body and mind, became addicted to opium, which was widely used as a medication in those days, and lived for 3 years on the streets of London. And yet he felt that God's persistent love would not let him go, pursued him, hounded him, you might say, relentlessly. He is remembered today mostly as the Christian mystic he eventually became. He is also remembered for his best-known poem, The Hound of Heaven. It's a startling image, God as a pursuing hound, but it reflects Thompson's experience. As he lists the ways in which he tried to hide from God, he says, "I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways of my own mind. And in the mist of tears I hid from him, and under running laughter." Thompson's lines prompted me to think of the ways we may try to hide from God. I began with one of Thompson's words, laughter, and added some words of my own, self-loathing, pride, and so on. And then, thinking of the defenses we put up against God's love, I used the metaphors of masks and God-resistant clothing. The refrain ends with a reference to the Father in the story of the prodigal son. Jesus gives us an understanding of God's love when he describes the Father running to the returning prodigal, embracing and kissing him. And our refrain concludes, "Still he sought and found me, drew me close and called me dear." The second verse speaks of another someone long ago. I had in mind the French philosopher Blaise Pascal, another person who, after long searching, you might say that he was looking for God rather than running away, became a Christian mystic. He is the writer who is supposed to have come up with the idea that inside each one of us is a God-shaped emptiness that nothing else can fill. You'll find a reference to that in this verse. For some of us, the experience of being sought and found is a one-time thing. But others would say that the experience of feeling remote from God can happen more than once in our lives. The second refrain ends with the affirmation that even in such times as these, He will seek and find me, draw me close, and call me dear. And what can I say about the music that Craig has written? It is so poignant and wistful, and a perfect match for the words. The verses sound plaintive to me, and I can only describe the refrain as achingly beautiful.
I heard of someone long ago who found that God knew all about him, and yet he tried to run away and flee, though he took the morning's wings and explored the ocean's edges. He would find with all his running that the Holy One pursued him, and wherever he would go, there God would be. There was a time I tried to hide from him in laughter and self-loathing, in pride and self-sufficiency, in shallowness and fear. And though I wore a mask and dressed in God-resistant clothing, yet still he sought and found me, drew me close and called me dear. I learned of someone long ago who yearned in life for deeper meaning, someone who sought in vain to satisfy the longings of his heart. In his restlessness and yearning, he would find within his being there was still a God-shaped emptiness, a void that nothing else could ever fill. Still there are times I try to hide from him, laughter and self-loathing, in pride and self-sufficiency, in shallowness and fear. And though I wear a mask and dress in God-resistant clothing, yet he will seek and find me, draw me close and call me dear. And though I wear a mask and dress in God-resistant clothing, yet he will seek and find me, draw me close and call me dear.
The other song I'll take time to mention started with a personal experience. Long ago, I was flying a kite on an ideal day. In fact, I just kept letting out the string until I could no longer see it. But I knew it was still there because I could feel, in the words of our song title, the pull on the string. Once or twice I have told this story at a children's time in our church service. It was an experience I think both children and adults could relate to. Out of this grew a narrative song that tells the story of a boy who was brought up in faith, but in adolescence drifts away to base his life on other things. Yet even then, and later as he goes through some difficult times, he recalls the experience of flying a kite with his father. At times, he doubts his own disbelief. As the song says, he feels something is there by the pull on the string. There may be something comforting, at least I hope there is, in the thought that people we care about, whose lives have taken them far from the beliefs they grew up with, may still, in a sense, be haunted by God and by the love that will not let them go.
He was only a child, with the faith of a child, when his father said, "The day is so bright, the wind has come up, come along with me now. Let's go to the park with the kite." As they let out the string, the breezes took it aloft, till the kite could no longer be seen. But his father assured him the kite was still there when he felt the pull on the string. And then sometimes he would think of that kite, how it flew so high, it was gone from his sight. But however far from earth it took wing, he could tell it was there by the pull on the string. As the boy came of age and left his childhood behind, he questioned what he had been taught. He would trust only things he could touch and see, and relied on his reason and thought. Yet still sometimes he would think of that kite, how it flew so high, it was gone from his sight. But however far from earth it took wing, he could tell it was there by the pull on the string. Now the years have rolled on, and some of them have been hard, bringing sorrow, misfortune and grief. But when he has felt himself lost and alone, he has doubted his own disbelief. For still sometimes he will think of that kite, though the memory may be faint and slight. It is his father's assurance, to this he will cling. He feels something is there by the pull on the string. And now you and I, when we think of that kite, how it flew so high that it vanished from sight, it is that father's words, To this we may cling, feeling something is there, something is there, something is there by the pool on the stream.